So, could the Black Swordsman Guts from the Berserk manga survive Doom's Hell, or a demonic invasion from Doom's Hell? Well, in this video I will examine the Swordsman Guts from Berserk to see if he could survive. A swordsman with a difficult and brutal life, which made him strong and subsequently renowned for that strength, bested several apostles and other foes which are feared through the lands. Armed with a giant hunk of metal called the Dragon Slayer and the deadly Berserker armor, many can say that this swordsman went through hell and came back alive and vengeful. This swordsman was none other than Guts. From the manga, Guts has had to deal with several demons and apostles, as well as some very traumatic stuff. In his usual arsenal, he has the Dragon Slayer as his main weapon, with other accessory weapons mounted on his little thing on his arm nub after he got his arm ripped off. For armor, he usually wears some medieval type armor made from your usual materials like iron and leather, but he has access to the special Berserker armor. Now, starting off with the Dragon Slayer, it's pretty much a giant hunk of steel, which if you're able to swing it, it is devastatingly powerful. The Berserker armor, on the other hand, is a full body armor that at first glance just looks cool and edgy, but it has many other abilities and uses that make it very special, with one of its main abilities being that of allowing the user to use 100% of their strength by forcing the body to give everything it has, no matter how dangerous or damaging it may be. As for actual protection, because it's in armor, the armor can resist cuts and even absorb some impact from blunt force attacks, but its main counter or response to any damage is that it's very good at keeping you together and numbing the pain with negative emotions. Now, this means if you are able to be cut, broken, hit, or start to bleed out in the armor, it'll pretty much make you ignore all of that and will actively keep your body from falling apart no matter how many broken bones you have. This could easily, and it usually does, leads to death after use because your body will fail from the more than fatal abuse it puts you through, as it makes you go berserk, like the name of the manga. Now, Guts has learned through many difficult experiences how to not just die every time he goes berserk with the armor. But now moving on to Guts' actual stats within the armor, he is superhumanly strong, which for one of the feats in the manga, he was able to break through the tough defense of the Apostle Grunbeld, which has corundum-like skin, and this corundum-like skin is said to be quite durable and may even be more so than steel. Now, you can crunch the numbers regarding how durable this fella is and about how powerful you would have to be to break through this guy, but to simplify, Guts is more than capable of cleaving through armored creatures which have durability on par with that of armored vehicles and the such. And even without the Berserker armor, he is still strong enough to fight several dozens of people and even apostles, which are demon-like creatures and people that gave up everything to have strength capable of taking down armies of medieval battle-hardened men. For speed, Guts at his absolute best with the armor is just under the speed of sound, as seen in the chapter when he fights this apostle, who every time it pretty much moves around, it creates sound waves which result from breaking the sound barrier. In this fight, Guts still won, but struggled to keep up, and his speed does not improve much later. For durability though, and endurance, Guts is able to travel and fight without much rest, even without the armor. He's able to take damage that would be fatal to most and still survive. But even if the damage is too much for him to handle, he can put on the Berserk armor to hold him together, so he can just get by as his body tries to desperately heal. But for actual damage tanking capabilities, he can take some powerful attacks from apostles that have heavy weapons like hammers, which are easily capable of knocking down concrete-filled buildings. So with that summary of what Guts is capable of out of the way, let's now see how strong the Doom Demons are. The Doom Demons are surprisingly powerful for how weak they seem in the games. This is primarily because you are in fact the Doom Slayer, but actually getting into their strength from the codex and lore, starting with the low tier demons, they're capable of ripping apart armor plating, and they have claws that are able to cut through steel. Their skin is said to be comparable to metal in terms of durability, and they're able to lob and shoot projectiles infused with Argent energy, which makes them hotter than the sun. Moving up to the middle tier demons, they are a couple times stronger than the lower tier demons, and although not much is said about their strength or destructive power, it can be just inferred that they're at least a couple times stronger, primarily due to the fact that they have bigger muscles and bigger bodies. And as for durability, it is said that you need something like an airstrike to actually get rid of them. Now, going a little higher to the higher tier demons, they are a couple times stronger than middle tier demons because, you know, bigger bodies, denser bones, stronger muscles, and thicker skin. Then going even higher up to Titan class, you got the Titan demons, which are just blatantly stated to terraform planets by just walking around, even though they're not that large. And as for the speed of the demons, they go from being around the speed of an RPG shot if you look at the in-game speeds and compare them to the bullets, like the rocket shot, or they could be around the speed of sound if you take the word from people on forums or Reddit posts. Not much, if anything at all, is actually shown or said about the demons' speed. So now, how would the Black Swordsman stack up against the demons from Doom? Beginning first with the low tier demons, or fodder demons, Guts would be able to win, but not without some caution. This is due to the fact that these fodder demons are capable of clawing through armor plating, and their projectiles are hotter than the sun, so they can burn right through it. And since their speed is at least around that of an RPG shot, they should have around similar mobility as Guts, give or take somewhat slower than him. As for the middle tier demons, Guts would not only have to be cautious, but calculated. This is because they are a few times more durable and stronger because of increased tissue size, whether that be muscle, skin, or bone. And mix this with skin that is about as durable as steel, and they should be somewhat close to the durability of Grunbeld. Now, their speed is nothing too special as it's about the same as the fodder demons, but a little bit slower. As for attack power, they are able to attack and kill each other with just their muscles, because in Doom Lore, demons fight and kill each other. Some of them even have rockets or cannons with specialized ammunition that's somewhat advanced, that is also quite destructive and explosive. Now, high tier demons are another case entirely, as they are essentially like a final boss for Guts because they are a middle tier demon with added mass, some more energy, and much more aggressive. So Guts would have to play his cards really well while in the Berserker armor each time he has to throw down with even just a couple high tier demons so as to not die. Now, Titans on the other hand would be too risky to even fight because a single blow or stomp from them would at best cripple Guts, leaving him almost unable to really move or fight back, or at worst, just straight up flatten him into a berserk puddle of anger and trauma. Now, if Guts somehow found his way inside Doom's Hell, he may or may not be able to handle the mentally degrading effects of just being in Hell. I say this because Guts is quite mentally powerful, but he may eventually fall to the effects unless he has some serious willpower to resist them. So, to summarize, Guts would have trouble with surviving Doom's Hell or even a demonic invasion. For the demonic invasion, he would have trouble for the reason that it'd only take a few mid-level or high-level demons to start making the fight really difficult. And since there would be quite a lot of these demons coming out of the portal in several endless waves, getting close enough to stop the portal would be an uphill battle, as each wave gets stronger and bigger demons as Hell tries to counter Guts as he goes to close the portals. But if Guts was suddenly put in Doom's Hell, he would have a bad time. This is because, again, each Doom demon from mid-level to Titan level is troublesome, and if you have a horde of even a couple thousand, just about anyone who is not at planet-busting level or beyond would start to have quite a bit of trouble. Mix this with the mentally debilitating effects of being in Doom's Hell, and Guts would quite literally have everything going against him, from physical attacks from demons, to mental attacks from Hell, and psychological attacks from his own armor, which in this case would be the only way he could survive or have a fighting chance.